Alright, so welcome back. We still have a few more landmarks to go over, and then we'll be done with this series. So first we have the Mountain Pass. Alright? So when you are the first player to gain a province, after that turn, each player bids once up to 40 debt tokens, ending with you. The higher bidder gets +8 victory tokens and takes the debt they bid. So this is an interesting landmark. It's almost like an event because it only goes into play when you buy a province. So if you're the first player to get the province, then all players will now bid basically for 8 victory tokens, and they can bid as many debt tokens as they want, up to 40 of the debt tokens. And the player who has the highest bid of debt tokens is going to get 8 victory tokens. That's pretty cool. Now, obviously, you get to go last, so, you can always just bid one more than all the other players, basically, and get this pretty cheap, maybe. So you have an advantage over them, maybe. But maybe they'll bid pretty high, and then, obviously, maybe you won't think it's worth it. Maybe bidding 15 debt tokens to get 8 victory tokens may not be worth it. Maybe. Depending on how much money you have on your turns, of course. So that's kind of an interesting landmark, to say the least. And it allows a lot of interaction as well with your opponents. So that's pretty cool. Then we have the Tomb landmark. When you trash a card, you'll get a victory token. So this makes trashing cards extra worth it because you get victory tokens for every card you trash. So that's pretty cool. And if you have Donate and you trash a lot of cards with Donate, you're going to get a lot of victory tokens as well. So if those two are combined in a game, that's really cool. And so obviously, then I would definitely want to go the route of trashing cards because I'm going to get a lot of victory tokens in the process. That's really, really cool. Then we have the Museum landmark. When scoring, you'll get 2 victory points per differently named card you have. So if you have a lot of differently named cards, you're going to get a lot of victory points with this. This is definitely really cool. And I might even like it more than Orchard even because of that reasoning. So that's really cool. I like this landmark quite a bit. Then, as a copper strategist, this is probably the coolest landmark there is. When scoring, you'll get 15 extra points if you have at least 10 coppers. So don't bother trashing any coppers if you want to get that extra 15 points, because you have to have at least 10 coppers at the end of the game for you to score points with the fountain. So that's really cool. I like this card, this landmark a lot, especially because it works with my copper strategy. Then we have the Defiled Shrine. Now this will have a setup. So you'll put 2 victory tokens on each non-gathering action supply pile. So that's what you do. As long as it's not a gathering action supply pile, you'll put 2 on each action supply pile. Then when you gain an action, move 1 from its pile to this, and then when you buy a wasteland or a curse, you'll take the victory tokens from this pile here, from this landmark. So you gain a lot of action cards, and then up to 2 from each of those action cards are going to end up on this Defiled Shrine, and then this makes it worthwhile buying that curse because you're going to get a ton of victory tokens. And a lot of players will definitely buy a curse to get those tokens, for sure. Especially if there's at least 2 of them on there. If there's at least 2 on this pile, it's worth it. If there's 2 or 3 or maybe more, you'll definitely buy a curse, of course, to get those tokens. Then we have Tower. When scoring, you'll get 1 victory point per non-victory card you have from an empty supply pile. So this will reward you if you finish an entire action supply pile. You'll get a few extra victory points depending on how many action cards you have from that empty supply pile. So that's pretty powerful. And you could have more than one action empty supply pile. You could have 2 or 3 even if you ended up finishing the game before all the provinces were bought up. This would be pretty cool and give you a lot of victory points at the end of the game. And so that's basically all there is in this expansion. Quite a bit, obviously. There's quite a few videos made for this expansion, and there's a lot of really good cards in this expansion. But still, I like Dark Ages more than this expansion. I like Adventures more than this expansion. I like Cornucopia, even though it's a small expansion, more than this expansion. And then with Menagerie coming out soon, I mean, at the end of the year, or at least the end of summer, I like Dominion Menagerie.